I just don't have an intro for this one. Honestly, this one doesn't deserve an intro. Oh god. This is gonna be painful. I'm Jacob Chimera, and welcome to the anime Lookback at Fall 2016. Bloodivores was my least favorite anime this season. And if you've seen my Brave Witches review, then you know that that is saying a lot. Bloodivores starts out telling the audience how a drug made to treat insomnia accidentally changed people into something called Bloodivores, which to all intents and purposes are vampires. They need to drink blood to sustain themselves, so as far as I'm concerned, they're vampires. Just call them vampires. The four main characters, Milu, Anji, Chaefeng, and Win Chao, who are all Bloodivores themselves, are robbing a bank in an attempt to save their orphanage, but they get caught. They're supposed to be sentenced to death, but instead are sent to an alternate dimension by a government-operated shadow agency. In this dimension, they are forced to fight monsters or else have their heads exploded by collars that have been secured around their necks. Also, some of them have superpowers. The concept is such a mess. It sounds like the joke story you would make up to try and make fun of how convoluted and ridiculous some anime can be. Except it's not a joke. It's the real story. Not only is the concept a mess, but the execution itself is sloppy. The biggest problem is that for a majority of the show, the characters are just kind of wandering around with no clear goal in mind. The story feels unfocused because it never bothers to answer three of the most important questions of storytelling: what, how, and why. We're never told exactly what this alternate dimension place is, how the characters got there, nor why they're there. I understand that a show can't explain everything, because then there wouldn't be any mystery or intrigue. But if you don't tell your audience anything about what's going on, they're going to feel lost and they're not going to care about what's going on. And you know what? This show might have been redeemable if it had a couple good characters in it. But every single character is the absolute worst. Our leading man, Milu, is bland and standoffish. I can only guess that his aloof attitude is meant to make him seem cool, but it doesn't. It makes him boring and unrelatable. Chaefeng feels more like a stock background character than supporting cast. His only defining characteristic is that he has a crush on Anji. Beyond that, he contributes nothing. And then Win Chao is a hot-headed asshole that deserts his childhood friends to go with a dangerous sociopath. Though, given how much I hate these characters, I would probably go with the dangerous sociopath as well. So Win Chao is okay. I'll give Win Chao a pass. He's the only believable character. Lao Yao is your cliched villain archetype who just wants to have fun killing, sowing destruction, and basically doing whatever he wants. Now, generally, I enjoy this archetype because even if it is a bit overdone, a talented writer can do a lot of interesting things with the character. But as I mentioned before, Bloodivores is not well written. But by far, the worst character of them all is Anji. She does nothing the entire time but whine about how much she loves Milu. How much she wants to be with Milu. How much she needs Milu. It gets a tad annoying. I mean, I just want to reach inside the screen and slap her. For God's sake, she's making Orihime look like a strong, independent woman. The animation isn't bad per se, but there are certainly some questionable moments. There are inconsistencies, and there are these points in the show when it will just hold on a completely still shot of a character. The first time this happened, it was so disconcerting I had to check to make sure that my video wasn't lagging or freezing up on me. And it's not a one-time thing either. It is a common occurrence over the course of the entire series. Just holding on a still shot of a character. No dialogue, no movement, just them doing nothing.
ああ、任せろ。
アンジ、
Because that doesn't get annoying after a while. While the whole show was bad, the final episode was the rotten cherry on top of the garbage sundae that was Bloodivores. First off, Angie's hidden powers awaken just when they're needed, which is such a tired cliche. Then, Chen Fong gets impaled with a sword, and it's really dumb. Now, I'm no medical expert, but last time I checked, getting stabbed hurts. Like, a lot. But he's just walking around with this sword sticking out of his chest with absolutely no reaction on his face. It's like they drew him without the sword and then remembered he had been stabbed, so they just had to Photoshop the sword back in. But by far, the worst thing of all is that they end the first season on a cliffhanger. So, to put it simply, not only is this a terrible story filled with mediocre characters, and it never answers any of your questions, but it has the audacity to end on a goddamn cliffhanger. I watched every single episode of your stupid show, and you have the gall to reward me with more unanswered questions? They're clearly using this as a ploy to get a second season, and I sincerely hope that they do not get their way. Because this is bad writing, and it's bad practice. The last thing we need to do is encourage this kind of behavior. If you haven't figured out by now, I don't like Bloodivores. Heck, I don't think anyone does. This was one of the least popular anime of fall 2016. And rightly so. The story is confusing, poorly executed, and the characters are just plain uninteresting. The whole thing is so bland that you can't even enjoy it as an over-the-top bad anime. Sitting down to watch Bloodivores was a chore. If you want my opinion, avoid this show at all costs, because I do not recommend it to anyone, for any reason. And if you've seen my brave witches, we're hunting rabbits.